Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
World leaders hold an emergency meeting to respond to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. and other nations target the people with money behind some of Vladimir Putin's power.
Prosecutors investigating corruption in the state of Illinois name a high-profile defendant. Former Speaker of the House Michael Madigan faces nearly a dozen charges.
Soaring gas prices have drivers looking at other options. Regional planners explain the infrastructure being put in place to support a switch to electric.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. President Biden says it appears Russia is intentionally targeting civilians as the Kremlin continues to wage its war in Ukraine.
The administration imposing new restrictions and sanctions against Russian elites. ABC's Faith Abubi has the latest.
Abstentions.
Tonight, tense moments at a rare emergency meeting of the UN General Assembly as an overwhelming number of member nations denounce Russia for its deadly military attack on Ukraine.
Russia's actions go against everything this body stands for.
141 UN member states supporting the resolution condemning Russia and calling on the Kremlin to immediately withdraw its troops from Ukraine. This as Russian forces are said to be escalating their indiscriminate attacks on civilians in Ukraine. West of the nation's capital, video showing rescue workers running into fire and debris, trying to save lives after a Russian cruise missile reportedly blasted a hospital and a residential neighborhood.
We're looking very closely at what's happening in Ukraine right now, including what's happening to civilians. We're taking account of it. We're documenting it.
The White House today unveiling new sanctions and restrictions on Russia and Belarus, including a ban on the export of Russian oil and gas extraction equipment and refining technology. The Department of Justice also announcing a new task force that'll target Russian oligarchs and their assets, many of them already facing tough restrictions from global financial institutions. The FAA also making it clear the U.S. may intercept and detain crews of any Russian aircraft that violate U.S. airspace. President Biden previewing the announcement during Tuesday's State of the Union address.
I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia.
That was Faith Abube reporting. A state-line grocery store chain takes a stand against Russia's invasion. Woodmans announced on its Facebook page the grocer won't carry Russian vodka anymore. The store did not say which brands it removed from shelves. Russian Standard Vodka and Russian Standard Platinum Vodka are both imported. Smirnoff traces its roots back to a distillery established in Moscow in 1864. It's owned now by the same company responsible for Guinness and Crown Royal. Some bars and liquor stores across the country took similar steps.
Illinois' longest-serving Speaker of the House has been indicted. Former State Representative Michael Madigan faces 22 counts of racketeering, conspiracy, and bribery. The 106-page indictment lays out a list of crimes dating back to 2011. Madigan's accused of running a criminal enterprise that used his political power and control within Illinois and the city of Chicago. Prosecutors say he used that power to enhance his own position and financially reward himself and his allies. The Democrat was first elected to the Illinois legislature in 1971. He served as Speaker of the House for nearly a half-century. Madigan stepped down last year. Federal prosecutors implicated him in a bribery scheme with ComEd. We'll have more on Madigan's indictment coming up at 6.
A controversial piece of land inside Rockford Airport grounds gets a reprieve for now. The Federal Aviation Administration announced today work on the so-called Bell Bowl Prairie has been paused for 3 months. Work was expected to continue today on the $50 million airport expansion project. No work has been done on the site since October. That's when the Natural Land Institute sued the airport authority and several other agencies. It claims the prairie is home to important grasses and an endangered bumblebee. The airport, FAA, and others have asked for the case to be dismissed.
Christians around the world celebrate Ash Wednesday. The holy day marks the start of Lent. And at the Vatican, Pope Francis held his weekly audience. The pontiff called for a day of fasting and prayer for the people of Ukraine. The tradition started back in the 6th century as a way for Christians to prepare for Easter. Ashes are marked in the shape of a cross on the forehead of believers, which represents repentance and death.
Some people in the state line now paying over $4 a gallon for gas. The higher prices are pushing some to switch to electric. The Region 1 Planning Council says there was a boom of electric cars sold in Boone and Winnebago counties in the past few years, which has spurred them into making sure the area is ready for the influx of EVs. One of the biggest hurdles, charging cars. Research shows most drivers will charge their car at home, but there is a new push to put fast chargers in different areas around the state line.
We've identified some of the interchanges off of the highways to be the best locations for those DC fast chargers. As far as other locations, it could expand beyond there. So areas such as downtown Rockford, or where there's a lot of people who might only be there for half an hour to an hour.
You think of like the Coronado or the BMO Harris Bank Center, like what a perfect match that would be, where somebody is only needing 2 hours.
Most of the charging stations around town are privately owned. Region 1 is a resource for businesses looking into adding electric vehicle chargers. If you'd like to learn more, go to our website, mystateline.com.
For the third year, manufacturing advocates want to find out what's the coolest thing made in Illinois. It's part of the Illinois Manufacturers Association and Comcast Business's Makers Madness. Nominations opened today and run through the 20th. Last year's winner came out of Elk Grove. Termico Technologies created a heater for traffic signals. Advocates say it's important to draw attention to the wide array of products made in the land of Lincoln.
It's the second year of this partnership, and we've enjoyed working together with them to build awareness and excitement about manufacturing in Illinois, which has long served as a backbone of our state's economy and is continually leading the way forward with groundbreaking advancement.
You can find a link to the nomination form at mystateline.com.
Dinosaur lovers from all over the world will soon flock to Rockford. It's part of the Burpee Museum's 24th annual Paleofest. It's a chance for paleontologists to share their latest research. Beyond presentations, there are also hands-on activities for kids. The hope is to get them interested in science. This year's event marks a return to an almost all in-person festival. Only Friday's student symposium will be virtual.
It's super exciting to have people back here actually in person to hold the event. Doing it remote had a lot of its benefits, that we could reach people around the world, but there's a certain special nature to having events in person, getting to meet paleontologists, getting the chance to actually talk to someone.
Paleofest runs Friday through Sunday. You can find a full schedule at mystateline.com. Less than 24 hours after President Biden delivered his first State of the Union address, he and lawmakers are pounding the pavement.
They're pushing the agenda they want to tackle over the next year. That includes things like infrastructure, inflation, and jobs. Our Washington correspondent Basil John has more on the progress Democrats hope to make and a Republican warning as he keeps you connected to the nation's capital.
Fresh off outlining his agenda during the State of the Union, President Joe Biden started making his case to the American people.
Invest in America, educate the American people, grow the workforce.
At an event in Wisconsin, the president emphasized how his bipartisan infrastructure law is creating jobs.
Modernizing our roads, our airports, our ports, our waterways.
And in North Carolina, Vice President Kamala Harris said the administration is fighting for a better future.
Our fight starts with lowering the cost of living for working families.
Another item in the president's speech was a call to expand background checks and ban assault-style weapons.
My hope is that the president's dedication to this cause will give us more momentum.
Connecticut Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy, as well as Connecticut Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, are ready to take steps to reduce gun deaths.
Step up and pass meaningful legislation that will reduce the rate of gun violence.
It's about the health and safety of our children.
While President Biden called for more funding for police to reduce gun violence, Senator Murphy says there are other ways to address the problem.
This administration can do more.
But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says all the president's plans are out of touch with the country and will lead to trouble for Democrats at this year's November elections.
If President Biden does not correct course sharply and quickly, the American people may correct the course for him.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Just an absolutely gorgeous Wednesday afternoon as temperatures today climbed into the mid and upper 50s. Our third day in a row where that temperature has reached the 50-degree mark. We've added in a little bit more cloud cover this evening. This as a cold front kind of works in from the north and will continue to pass through here as we go through the overnight. We might get a couple of sprinkles from that here through the evening, but nothing as significant as far as rainfall is expected. 50 degrees for our weather watcher Ben in South Beloit, 52 for Mike just north of Forston, has an overcast sky, and 53 currently there for Bob on the southeast end of Rockford. We're at 52 in Rockford, 50 in Freeport. Notice the numbers up to the north dropping through the 40s, so we'll continue to see that temperature kind of drop here as we go through the rest of this evening. Our high temperature today 58 degrees, but once that cold front comes in and our winds shift around to the northeast, high temperature tomorrow going to feel drastically colder, 36. That's all we muster for tomorrow afternoon. So it is going to feel a lot colder tomorrow. Good news though, it is kind of a short-lived chill as those temperatures will warm again as we head in towards the weekend. As we continue with Illinois Severe Weather Preparedness Week, let's talk about the different types of hazards that we typically get with severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail, lightning, wind, flooding, all of which can be very destructive and even very deadly. Hail size, there's a certain size that hail needs to reach in order for it to become and be considered severe limits. Most often with thunderstorms, we get pea-sized hail, pea to even marble-sized hail. That's about 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 inch. But once you get to 1-inch sized hail and then there beyond, hail can get as big as grapefruit size. That's 4.5-inch sized hail. That is definitely considered severe hail. You also look at the wind. You kind of stay under that 58-mile-per-hour wind threshold. You don't get too much damage, but once you get above that, as winds get to 60, 70, 80, and even above, now you're talking about considerable storm damage. Thankfully, with the cold front that comes in tonight, all we really kind of muster up from that are a couple of sprinkles, but we will have to watch another system coming in for the weekend, this specifically for Saturday late afternoon, evening, and early overnight. As we go through the night tonight, temperatures will drop through the 40s, the 30s, and down into the low 20s when you wake up tomorrow morning. We'll keep a little breeze tomorrow. I think we'll see some sunshine after we do start off with cloud cover, but our temperatures will stay in the mid-30s. Warm front then begins to inch closer to us during the day on Friday. We'll keep that cloud cover around. Temperatures will climb into the low 40s as the wind picks up from the southeast for Friday afternoon. Chance for showers will then return Friday night going into Saturday. By Saturday, that warm front lifts well to the north. Temperatures will rise into the low to mid 60s on Saturday. Not a complete washout, but we do have to watch some showers for the first part of the day and then the potential there for some thunderstorms with some heavy rain later in the day. Strong severe risk for thunderstorms initially west of the Mississippi River in Iowa, but we will have to watch portions of northwest Illinois once we get after sunset on Saturday for the potential for some gustier thunderstorms, maybe with some stronger winds. Cold front then comes through on Sunday. Watching another system though Sunday night that could bring us some rain and then maybe a rain-snow mix, maybe a little more snow then once we get into Monday. So from 23 degrees tonight, we only manage up to 36 for tomorrow afternoon, right around 43 for Saturday. There's at 63, should say 43 on Friday, 63 on Saturday, upper 40s there on Sunday. I think our temperatures will drop off a little here, guys, as we go into the first part of next week.
Now sports with sports director Scott Leber.
The Rock Valley College men's and women's basketball teams were glued to a video hookup this afternoon, waiting to learn their fate or destiny when it comes to the NJCAA national tournaments next week. And they came away pleased with what they saw.
The men had already clinched one of 8 automatic qualifier spots for nationals by winning the Great Lakes District Championship last Saturday. The question was, what seed would they get and who would be their opening opponent?
With our number 8 seed, Rock Valley.
So the number 8 seed goes to RVC in a first-round game against number 9 seed Herkimer.
The 8 seed, probably not too happy about it, but it's okay. It is what it is.
You just have to go out and show you're better, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of low, but you know what? We just have to go out there and take care of business now. So that's just the deal. That was just the hand we were dealt.
Some of the games that we potentially dropped kind of in January when we were going through our injuries and our COVID stuff, I think eight's probably about right.
The NJCAA D3 tournament will be played at Rock Valley College starting next Wednesday. There was more suspense for the women as they watched the pairings announcement. They were not allowed to be in the national tournament after losing to #1 Owens last Saturday in the district tournament. The ladies needed to land one of 4 at-large bids.
Number 6 seed is an at-large selection.
So there it is. The ladies are in, and they snagged the number 6 seed in the 12-team field. Impressive for an at-large team.
Definitely really nerve-wracking just because we were the last 2 teams to be announced.
But what was going through your mind while you were waiting to hear RVC?
Well, I was trying to really keep track of like how many spots were left, where we could end up, and honestly I lost track, so I thought that the 7 and 10 seeds were the last ones. Got kind of scared for a little bit.
First and foremost, we checked off one of our goals is getting to the national tournament. It didn't come the way we wanted it. You know, we ended up losing our game to Owens in the district championship game, but you know, we were blessed enough, the nation respected us enough to put us in the tournament as a 6th seed.
The women's tournament will be played in Rochester, Minnesota. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, our temperatures being above normal have been very nice, but that's going to come to an end.
Yeah, we'll get a rude reminder that, hey, it's only 2 days into March.
Yeah. It's funny, we always get that little tease, right? You know, towards the tail end there, winter, as we get a little bit closer to spring, those numbers start to go up, and then phew, they just tank right after that. I don't see anything tanking significantly with the exception of tomorrow. We're going to be about 20 degrees colder tomorrow afternoon as our highs are in the 30s. For tonight, we've got a little more cloud cover, cold front working in from the north. You see a couple of light showers popping up across southern Wisconsin. We may see 1 or 2 of those pass through here as we go through this evening through about 8 o'clock. Temperatures down to about 23 degrees tonight, up to 36 for tomorrow, 43 on Friday. Showers move in Friday night into early Saturday. Saturday, not a washout. There are going to be some showers throughout the day, low 60s and windy for the afternoon. Then you've got some thunderstorms, potentially some gusty thunderstorms Saturday evening.
What a range of temperatures. Thanks, Candace.
And thank you for spending some time with us. Stay safe.